What if you were trapped in an apartment building and the outside world had already collapsed? That's the story we're diving into today, dear listener. So sit back, relax, and prepare yourself, because what starts as isolation will soon become a battle for survival, power, and something much greater. And let's begin. A few days ago, the world suddenly ended. Civilization collapsed due to disasters, pandemics, and wars. Then, mythical monsters appeared and wiped out what remained of humanity. Although some humans awakened special powers, their abilities were not enough. The monsters were too powerful to defeat, and the Earth was destroyed in just 3 days. In the middle of a completely destroyed city, where every building has turned to rubble, only one building remains standing, without a single scratch. And from within it, our story begins. We see Ko-jun, a reclusive young man in a messy apartment, eating potato chips as if the end of the world never happened. Bags of ramen, wet wipes, and trash are scattered in every corner. His clothes are old, his gaze is cold, and his tone is sarcastic. They say the world ended, but I'm living like I'm on an extended vacation. Ko-jun is trapped in this apartment after the catastrophe that destroyed the world, while his family is out there. Maybe none of them survived. His father bought the apartment before the disaster as an investment, but Ko-jun never expected it would become his last refuge. But his problem isn't the monsters, it's the internet. Ko-jun doesn't care about the end of the world, but losing the internet. No internet? That's a real nightmare. While he's drowning in sorrow over the internet loss, he suddenly hears screaming from outside. And then, a huge, disgusting creature with massive wings and terrifying tentacles flies straight toward his window. Ko-jun panics, stumbling backward, and the creature slams right into the window. But the surprise, the monster can't get in. The apartment window is protected by an invisible barrier, and a mysterious notification appears before Ko-jun: unauthorized entity entry prevented. Ko-jun stares at the notification, stunned. He says this ability is the reason he's still alive. This apartment has a protection system. It's not just an ordinary apartment. There's a system protecting him. A system whose origin is unknown, but it blocks all external threats. And finally, when Ko-jun tries to open the door, he finds it completely locked. He hits it in frustration because the door won't open. Soon he realizes that the system itself has locked all the doors. He says to himself, "It's been 3 days since the catastrophe began, and the food is almost gone. Darkness fills the room, and the real fear has begun. Not from the monsters, but from hunger and isolation." Ko-jun, surrounded by garbage and canned food, screams from the loneliness as if he's trapped in a golden prison. The electricity is out. The food is rotting. Even his bathroom needs are handled in plastic bags. And still, the internet is down. Suddenly, a notification from the system appears. "You have hunted a level 23 entity." Ko-jun is shocked. "I hunted? But I never even left the room?" He looks out from the balcony and sees the creature that attacked him earlier, dead on the ground. Apparently, just the creature trying to break into the apartment was considered a hunt by the system. And the best part? The system rewards him with 2.2 million won, about $1,500, and grants him new skills and a feature called Home Announcement Level 3. Then, as if by magic, the electricity returns. He checks the water. It's running again. The stove is working. Ko-jun, who was on the verge of collapse, cries with joy. Everything is back to normal! But the happiness doesn't last. The internet, still dead. In a moment of frustration, his hand bumps into something, a USB flash drive lying around. He plugs it into his computer, and suddenly, family photos start to appear. His mother holding him as a baby, holding her hand as he walks to school. Moments of joy and warmth, all memories of people he doesn't even know if they're still alive. And here, Ko-jun changes from a careless, reclusive young man living off ramen to a man with a purpose. He mutters to himself, "I'll get out of this place, and I'll save my family no matter what." As he starts thinking about how to escape, the system opens a mysterious shop. The ultimate shut-in store, level 1. He can buy anything at the original price. Ko-jun was confused. He didn't understand what this store was, how it worked, why the system had revealed it, or how to use it. A notification popped up from the system, asking him to register his first item in the store. His account balance appeared 2.2 million won. Despite his confusion, he clicked the register item option. New notifications appeared, informing him that his Maxel wallet contained the money he earned from killing the flying monster, and it was now ready to use. Thinking about all this, he approached his window, opened it, and stood on the balcony, gazing out. Maybe this is my chance to finally leave the room, he thought. But before the idea could form completely, the system stopped him with a warning. The ultimate shut-in cannot leave the house. He felt a deep wave of disappointment. He had hoped that leveling up would grant him the freedom to leave, but the system had other plans. Clenching his fists with resolve, he decided, if I keep killing monsters and leveling up, maybe one day I'll unlock a skill that lets me escape. But now a new question burned in his mind. If I can't leave the room, how am I supposed to kill monsters? While nervously pacing inside the apartment, he noticed goblins below, tearing apart the corpse of the flying monster. They looked weak. A thought struck him. What if he could kill them from above? He ran inside, grabbed a bottle of water, and threw it as hard as he could from the balcony. The bottle passed straight through the invisible barrier. That's when he realized anything he throws can pass through it. And so the plan was born. He'd use heavy objects, throw them at the goblins, and earn experience without ever leaving his apartment. He searched the apartment until he found an old 5-kilogram dumbbell. But when he returned to the balcony, he saw the goblins were already leaving, dragging the monster's corpse with them. Panic struck. This might be his only chance. He threw the dumbbell with all his strength. It missed the goblins but landed right on the corpse. The loud sound caused a commotion among them. They started screaming, clearly confused by the noise. Now he had only one dumbbell left. He froze, thinking, what if I miss again? I'll have no weapons left. Suddenly, noise erupted outside. He looked again, and a massive crowd of goblins had gathered in front of the building, led by their chieftain. The leader looked strange, muscular and menacing, holding the dumbbell Ko-jun had thrown. The goblin leader glared at him furiously, shouting in an unknown language. Behind him, the other goblins joined in the cries and chants. Then they charged toward the building, weapons raised. But Ko-jun wasn't afraid. Instead, he thought, this is perfect. More monsters are coming to me. All he needed now was a weapon. He summoned the store and decided to try registering the dumbbell. He assumed the system would take it away, but instead it just scanned it and listed it in the store for $16.99, its original market price. This was a turning point. Anything he registers in the store can be repurchased later at the original price. As long as he had money, he could buy unlimited weapons. He bought 2 more dumbbells. They appeared in front of him through a mechanism that looked like 3D printing. Overjoyed, he realized he could fight now. He started throwing dumbbells at the goblins. One hit a goblin square in the head, instantly killing it. The system notified him, you've killed a level 7 goblin. Experience points were transferred directly to his wallet, but soon he noticed something troubling. Each dumbbell cost him $16.99, while the reward for killing a goblin was only $3.10. Still, he didn't care about the financial loss. His only goal was to level up. He kept throwing dumbbells, but now the goblins were learning. They started dodging his attacks. Frustrated but not backing down, he thought about throwing bigger things, like the fridge or TV. But he quickly realized he couldn't lift them, and they'd be easy to dodge. He focused back on the dumbbells, buying and throwing more. He hit several goblins, killing those at levels 7, 8, even 10. Each gave him a bit of experience, and it slowly added up. Finally, the moment he was waiting for arrived. A system notification appeared. You've leveled up. New skill unlocked. Ultimate shut-in storage. Level 1. An alternate dimension where he could store and summon items anytime. He tested the system. A 3D house-shaped interface appeared, and he placed the remaining dumbbells inside. Once confirmed, he tried summoning one. It instantly appeared in his hand. He smiled with joy. Then that smile slowly morphed into a wicked grin, burning with excitement for the battle to come. Time passed, and a powerful blue light began glowing from Ko-jun's room. He had purchased and stored hundreds of dumbbells inside his new system. Ultimate shut-in storage. Standing on his balcony, Ko-jun closed his eyes and stretched out his hand. He visualized the dumbbells inside his dimensional space, and with a single command, he summoned them all at once. Like a torrential downpour, a metallic rainstorm descended from the sky. Hundreds of dumbbells crashed down upon the goblins below, smashing through bone and flesh with ruthless precision. The goblins were stunned, paralyzed in confusion, unable to react. Each thud of steel echoed with a spray of of blood and a burst of gore. One by one, they were crushed under the unrelenting hailstorm. Kojun's system kept flashing messages. You have slain a goblin level 7 plus 3.1 credits earned. You have slain a goblin level 9 plus 3.5 credits earned. You have slain a goblin level 10 plus 3.7 credits earned. For 3 to 4 minutes, the massacre continued. When the last dumbbell hit the ground, silence returned. Notification: all hostile entities within range have been eliminated. Total earnings: 56,600 credits. Kojun's eyes widened. A victorious grin spread across his face, but that wasn't the end. While managing his store, he had also started listing various everyday items for sale. Classic anti-slip dumbbells for $16.99, instant ramen, water sandwiches, rice, premium eggs, digestible milk, probiotic yogurt, canola oil, and even half-used ketchup bottles. Despite spending heavily on dumbbells to kill goblins, his balance hadn't dropped much. In fact, after selling the remaining dumbbells back through the store, he noticed something unexpected. Account balance: 2.1 million. It was a smart strategy. He had essentially recycled his weapons for 90% of their original cost after the fight. And while he spent roughly 1,000 credits to kill a single goblin, he earned a net profit of 2.11 per kill. With a growing product list and consistent earnings, Kojun was now economically invincible. But then, he noticed something strange. His money was decreasing, unit by unit. At first, it was subtle: 2,100,000, then 2,099,999, 2,099,998. Confused, Kojun opened his transaction logs. It wasn't the dumbbells, it wasn't the store listings. After analyzing every system prompt, he finally understood. The cause: passive skill, dignity preservation. That skill kept his home supplied with power, water, and other essentials. The system was automatically deducting a small maintenance fee every minute. Kojun looked around, at his lit fridge, the working lights, the clean running water. Everything came at a cost. Still, he smiled bitterly. If I want to maintain this life, I need a steady income. From his balcony, he surveyed the battlefield. Dead goblins lay everywhere. A few survivors had run off, terrified by the rain of death. But hours passed. No new goblins approached. Only 1 or 2 stragglers wandered nearby before fleeing again. Frustration began to creep in. If monsters avoid this place, how will I level up? Without progression, he couldn't grow stronger. Without strength, he couldn't leave. His heart pounded with irritation, but just then, he looked up. A familiar winged creature soared across the sky, a massive, sticky, crow-like monster. It resembled the one from before. Kojun's eyes widened. He ran inside, grabbed a ladder, and quickly tied a small mirror to the top. He remembered that normal crows were attracted to shiny objects. Maybe this monster was similar. He placed the mirror in clear view, and soon enough, the creature noticed it. It screeched, flapped its heavy wings, and dove toward the apartment. But this one was smarter. It didn't crash into the barrier. Instead, it hovered, staring at Kojun from the other side of the shield. It growled, clearly hungry, studying him like prey. Then it slammed into the barrier. Once, twice, 3 times. Alert: unauthorized entry attempt detected. Kojun's heart thumped. He trusted the barrier, but what if this one broke through? Opening his ultimate store, he reviewed his options. He recalled that the system only rewarded loot if a monster died within the barrier and remained inside long enough for the claim to process. If he failed to kill the creature correctly, he'd lose both the reward and his safety. Throwing dumbbells wouldn't be enough. He needed a plan. His eyes landed on the canola oil in the store. Without hesitation, he bought 20 bottles and rushed to the kitchen. He heated the oil, drenched a strip of his shirt in it, lit the makeshift torch. Then, back on the balcony, he splashed the boiling oil onto the monster. It shrieked in agony. Then, he threw the burning torch. The creature erupted in flames, its screeches piercing the night air. It flailed violently, crashing into the barrier again and again, until it burned to death. Monster Kalen, verse 27, defeated. You have gained +3 levels. Earnings: 9.3 million credits. Kojun collapsed back into his chair, sweating, breathing hard, but he smiled. Then the building shook. The barrier expanded. His body was racked with pain. His vision turned black and white. He could sense everything, even the movement of ants in the floorboards. He opened his eyes and saw a family inside the extended barrier. A father, a mother, and 2 small children. The system chimed. New humans detected within domain. Would you like to grant citizenship? Kojun hesitated. What did that mean? What were the consequences? Then the system explained, if he refused, they would be expelled from the barrier, exposed to a monster-infested world. Kojun clenched his fists. Grant citizenship. The barrier pulsed. Their rooms were now part of his territory. The system opened a new menu, citizen management. He could now assign tasks, monitor status, collect a portion of their earnings, and even expel them, or worse. It was overwhelming, but then he saw their status. They were starving. Their water was almost gone. Their lights had gone out days ago. He felt responsible. Kojun immediately upgraded his ultimate store to level 3, boosting storage, unlocking a 10% discount, and raising his dignity preservation skill. A new option unlocked: repair damaged items inside storage. He laughed, a wild, genuine laugh. His power was becoming absurd. He stocked up on food, water, and essentials, not for himself, but for them. Then came a new prompt. New skill unlocked: container registration. He didn't understand it yet, but he'd figure it out later. Suddenly, he noticed movement on the system map. The father was preparing to leave the barrier. His children were crying, begging him to stay, but he was determined to go find water for them, risking death in the process. Kojun watched in silence, his hands trembling, and for the first time, he wasn't thinking like a shut-in anymore. He was thinking like a leader. At that moment, Kojun knocked on the door. The father tensed up, and the entire family froze in fear. Kojun's calm voice came through. "Can you open the door, please?" The father hesitated, trembling, but realized he had no choice. He slowly unlocked the door, heart pounding. In the doorway stood Kojun, holding a box filled with food and clean water. The family stared in disbelief. Without saying much, Kojun gently handed the supplies over. Among them were simple but precious things: bottled water, rice, and fresh oranges. The father blinked, then stepped aside and invited Kojun in. The children huddled behind their mother, peeking out cautiously. But as they drank and tasted the oranges, their faces lit up. Smiles broke out. Laughter followed. The heavy tension began to melt. The father's trust in Kojun grew gradually, especially after witnessing his power and generosity. Even the youngest daughter reached the system's vessel threshold. But Kojun refused to register her. She's too young, he thought. Instead, he considered the father as a potential vessel candidate in the future, if the trust deepened further. Later, the father spoke to Kojun about the strange moment they experienced, how they suddenly received a citizenship notification, how their bodies had briefly frozen in place. Kojun's eyes narrowed with realization. If I had hesitated a bit longer, he thought, the system would have expelled them automatically, out into that monster-infested hell. A horrifying thought. Kojun nodded, then invited the father to step outside for a private talk. They walked into the hallway just outside earshot of the children. Kojun spoke clearly. "I'm not asking for anything dangerous. If you trust me and help me, I'll make sure you and your family never go hungry again. You'll have food, clean water, working electricity, and complete protection from the monsters." He paused, letting the words settle. "All I ask in return is your help with a few small tasks. Nothing life-threatening." The father looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "All right, brother. I trust you." A small but meaningful smile passed between them. From that point on, the father started calling him brother, a bond forming not through blood, but through survival. Kojun, feeling encouraged, decided to share an idea. What if we search for more survivors, bring them here, expand the barrier, build something inside it, a real community? The father looked surprised, then intrigued. For the first time since the world collapsed, there was a spark of hope, a future, one not just of survival, but rebuilding together.